Hi, hello, welcome back. I'm Heather, or Miss Postaway if you're one of my students, and this is Pages with Postaway. Today we are going to talk about my August wrap-up, so much better than July. I'm actually, really pleased with how this month went. I read 6 middle grade books, so we're going to talk about those. And the first one that we'll get started with was Fuzzy Mud. Fuzzy Mud is by Louis Sachar. May or may not be pronouncing that right or wrong. Same author as Holes. Cute little middle grade book. Centers on a couple of younger kids. I think we have a 7th grader and maybe a 5th grader who are telling the story, and it kind of follows a little town that ends up being the center of a big controversy because of these little man-made microorganisms that were supposed to be the solution to everything, but they actually ended up causing some biological problems when they escape, creating what's called fuzzy mud. The main characters are kind of pushed into the forest, I guess, on their way home from school one day, trying to escape a bully. They encounter the mud. It's crazy, high adventure, a lot of fun, science fiction. I think kids would really enjoy this one. I personally ended up giving it 4 stars. This is a great author with very high interest stories. So cool. The second middle grade book that I read, Bayou Magic by Jewel Parker Rhodes. This, I think, is part of a series maybe of a couple of sisters that get to have a Bayou summer with their grandma in Louisiana, and they go to the bayou. Our main character here, I want to say her name is Maddie, is kind of a little different than the rest of her family. And lo and behold, Grandma is a little different from the rest of her family. This is probably a really good example of magical realism. We have kind of a connection to a deeper sense of the environment. She can interact with like fireflies. There's just a connection to nature that's really sweet. Maddie really enjoys her Bayou summer. There's some hard things that happen. She does make a good friend. There's mermaids, guys. There's mermaids. So it's cute. It's got kind of an environmental message, which Fuzzy Mud also kind of had like an environmental message to it. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. My third book, definitely lower middle, is called The Lost Library. And this has 2 authors by Rebecca Steed and Wendy Mass. This was cute. A little bit of a fantasy element here because we're dealing with, I don't want to tell you what we're dealing with, so I don't want to ruin the story, but definitely a cute story, maybe a little haunted, not scary at all. And this little free library kind of appears out of nowhere. And one day, the whole town's kind of invested. You have a cat that is taking care of things. You do get to understand the cat and the mice that kind of interact. So there's that kind of fantastical element there. It was cute. It's got a good message. I think I gave this one, we'll go with 4 stars. Gave it 4 stars. Definitely a little bit easier read. So was Bayou Magic. So not a higher level, so probably 4th, 5th, 6th grade. It was cute. Oh, my 4th book. So my students already know about this one because I've talked about it with them. I read Spirit Hunters by Ellen O. I've wanted to read this book for a very long time. I've checked it out from the library multiple times and just didn't get to it. I've thought about owning it. I really like Ellen O, the author, and so I've wanted to read this one. But I don't do scary. I I don't do scary. And this one is scary. So we have our main character, and I'm having a little trouble with recalling her name right now. She and her family have moved to DC, and they have bought and moved into the scary house in the town, like the haunted house in the town. And it has a scary background story. It has a scary history. Bad things happen to every family that has lived in that house. And our main character is kind of trying to remember. So some bad things have happened, and you get the feeling that she's very much connected to like ghosts and things. Like she doesn't understand it, and you work with her through all of that. But right off the bat, there's a connection between her and the house. That house is mean. Like if you like haunted houses, and if you like ghosts, and if you like scary, then this book may just be for you. I really liked the connection to her grandmother and just like some of the cultural pieces that you'll kind of pick up along the way and then watch. So it pulls in a Korean like cultural connection to spirit hunters and maybe spiritual guides and things along that realm. Highly recommend. Really cute book, but will I be reading anything else in this series? No. Did I recommend it to my students who like scary? Yes, I did. Will I probably buy one of these books for my library? Yes, because this one's a different kind of creepy. Yeah, I'm good. Nope. I don't recommend the audiobook though. The reader was really good at changing the voices of the characters, but I was really annoyed with how the reader read several of the characters. And every time that character came up in the book and that voice came out, it just rubbed me the wrong way. So this was one I really wanted to read with my eyes. I ended up starting the audiobook and finishing it with the actual text. So number five was my favorite book of the whole month. Like hands down, so good. I loved it. And that is I have it. Yay. I wasn't sure if I had them. I have Ellie, Engle Saves Herself. And notice like how cute this is, saves the world, but she ends up saving herself. This is obviously by Leah Johnson. Oh my gosh, guys, I loved this book. At first, I wasn't sure I was going to. I had kind of a slow start to it, but once I got in and I really got to know Ellie and I watched some of the things going on with her, oh my gosh, I just fell in love with her. Plus, she's my E for my alphabet A to Z middle school name game. I'm so excited, so purposeful in that choice. Ellie wakes up one morning, earthquake kind of happens, and suddenly she's got superpowers and she's not sure what's happening. She's like kind of stumbling into seeing that things are weird. She can hear things and do things, and so she's figuring all that out. And as she figures all that out, she's dealing with some pretty regular middle school, I think she's a 7th grader, dealing with some friend dynamic things that are shifting. She's dealing with attention. Does she want it? Does she not want it? Just realizing who she is and maybe ways that she has hidden herself from the world and how to maybe not be so afraid of that. This one is LGBTQ rep. I loved that. And guys, oh my gosh, I really want to read you this letter. The author at the end of this book, and by the way, she's got a sequel coming out. So there's another character in here who is Bree. And Brianna Boyd is a legend, is coming soon. I cannot wait. Okay, so Leah Johnson wrote this author's note, and it's so sweet. It's so precious. She made me cry. And she just talks about writing this book because she needed to see books that like just highlighted people like her. And she wished she had had this kind of thing when she was a kid. I'd really like to read it to you. So I think I'm going to. And if you're not interested, I'll put the timestamp and you can just move on. But it's so precious. Once upon a time, my mom transformed the wall paint in my bedroom from a standard eggshell to a bright canary yellow. My little sister and I relished the freedom that those 4 sunshine-drenched walls immediately granted us. Everything was bigger, grander, somehow in our new room. Us, our stories, our dreams. We were Michelin star chefs in a Parisian restaurant. We were haute couture designers crafting looks for our Barbie Fashion Week show. And for one brief spectacular moment in time, we were even the long-lost Black Olsen siblings. Within the walls of my childhood bedroom, my sister and I made all manners of dreams real. Except the Olsen sibling thing. Those hopes were dashed pretty quickly, I'm afraid. Our mom encouraged us to pursue every passion, explore any fantasy we could conjure up, and for a time we were given the space to be wondrous. Now that yellow room represents the ineffable magic that is reserved only for our safest, most trusted spaces. Because one day we outgrew the room and our mother's loving home, and we stepped into a world where Black girls who will one day become Black women are encouraged to shrink ourselves. There are reminders everywhere all the time that Black girls should make ourselves smaller and more palatable, and if we're not careful, we can begin to believe them. Ellie Engle Saves Herself is a book about a young, queer, Black girl who believes herself to be unspectacular and who has been convinced that she's safest in the shadows. Ellie isn't alone in this. This very moment, all over the country, queer and trans children, especially those of color, are being reminded, with every book banned and every anti-LGBTQIA plus law passed, that there are people out there who wish them small, wish them invisible. And my hope is that this story, in addition to providing the kind of laughter that makes you pee your pants a little, will serve as a declaration that no one can take away our right to exist without fear or shame. No one. Ellie Engle Saves Herself is sometimes silly, always joyous reminder that wonder, that magic aren't things we outgrow. They're in our very bones. It's a reminder that not all heroes wear capes, and that sometimes there are teachers or librarians or nurses and paramedics. Sometimes they're authors and booksellers and editors, and sometimes there's folks who thought about giving up but decided to fight another day. And sometimes, no matter what the world says, our hero is the person looking back at us in the mirror. In community, with love, LJ. Please read this book. It was so good. It was so good. I can't wait for the sequel. So good. I was so excited about this. I actually went and got, so this is her first middle grade. So yay. She does have a YA. I think she has 2. You know me. I went and got it. So I'm going to be reading this one hopefully in September. It's YA. It's also banned. So looking forward to that. And my final book, let's wrap up August. My final book in August was, I finished it, guys. Amulet, Wave Rider, number 9. I finally finished the series. These have been in my classroom, so I actually have some students who are also reading this one. I've got the whole series. My students are loving this series. It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. The pictures are good. I will say, as much as I enjoyed this, the ending I don't know. There were a lot of good things. There were a lot of things that got resolved. Maybe it wasn't what I was expecting. That's okay. I think it was a long time coming, and it's okay to end the series. And I'm looking forward to whatever else he does. Apparently his wife also has a graphic novel series, so I'm going to be looking for that here soon. I gave this one 5 stars, so I did enjoy it, and I'm delighted to have this, and I'm delighted that my students are really enjoying it. Obviously, I gave this one 5 stars. This might have gotten 6. This one's definitely in the competition for the best book of the year, so yeah, that is definitely getting its own little space. I think that only leaves me with one. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I've got my reading journal here. Yeah, so I only kind of made brackets just for my absolute favorites. And so that one is going in. It's got some stiff competition, but yes. So anyway, I'm rambling. That was August. Twice as good as the other. I actually read 12 books this month, so 6 of them being middle grade. Looking forward to a new month in September and just keeping on track. So let me know if you have read any of these books or if any of them piqued your interest. Whew, glad I'm through that reading slump of July. So, okay, have a good one. See you later, guys. Bye.